Hi everyone, today's lesson is on rounding and substitution, so that's the target. I can round and use substitution to evaluate an equation. So we're going to start by figuring out a number that's higher, 5 or higher, because that's going to help us with the rounding process. Anytime you have a number that's 5 or higher, we're going to round up. So this first example is just, all I did was highlight the numbers that are 5 or higher. So down here, it says circle the number in the tens place. So that's just practice for our rounding. So tens place is 1 decimal place. Hundredths is 2 decimal places. So I have everything highlighted that's appropriate. And here's pretty much what we're doing today. We're rules for rounding. If it is a 5 or more, you up the score, which means you're going to raise the underlined number by 1 to get rid of all the numbers to the right. If it's 4 or less, we're going to let it rest. So we're going to leave the underlined number alone and get rid of all the other numbers. So down here, here's my underlined number. It says round the following numbers to the whole number. So that means I should not have a decimal. So I look at here, here's a 1, and I look to the number right next to it. There's a little arrow that I kind of drew there. It's 5 or higher because it's a 6, so I round up. That's how I got the 2. And then over here, I've got 17. There's a decimal. I look to the right of that 7. It's a 3. No, that's not higher than a 5, so it stays where it is. Same idea for the other 2. Example 2, I got to round the following numbers to the 10th. So that's 1 decimal place. So I underline the tenths, and then I'm circling the number that I'm looking at. Okay, so here's the 1, and I'm looking at that 2. That 2 is not higher, 5 or higher, so it stays 23.1. And notice everything after the 1, there's nothing there anymore. So once I round to the nearest tenth. That's 1 decimal place. I shouldn't have anything after that 1 decimal place. So I look at, let's just go to letter C because I have a negative number. It's not going to change what we're doing. Okay, it's a pretty big number, but we're still only rounding to the nearest tenth. So I have a decimal. There's the first decimal place is at 5. So there's my tenths. I look at the one next to it. It's 5 or higher, so I round up. So my decimal point became 0.6. Notice all the other stuff before it still stayed the same. And then example 3 is the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. So I underline the 2, that's the 2 decimal places, and I'm looking to the number to the right of it. So it was a 7. Well, that's 5 or higher, so I add 1 to that 2, 3.93. And the next part is us evaluating. So evaluate means you're going to find the value of an expression. And an expression is a group of terms without an equal sign. So there is no equal sign. So the rest of the notes are focusing on let's do some evaluation, which means we're going to substitute values for the variables and then follow the order of operations. Most of your math teachers before have said just plug it in. That's all we're doing. X is 6. We plug in 6 where we see the letter X. So there's the letter X. We're going to plug in 6. 6 plus 1 equals 7. And there you go. There's X again over here. It says negative 4X. That's negative 4 times X. So X is 6. I'm plugging it in. Negative 4 times 6 minus 6. I follow my order of operations just like it says up here. PEMDAS, here's your order of operations. Refer to that if you need to. So negative 24 minus 6 becomes negative 30. And then the last ones, so these are the same ones, they're just more complex, meaning we've just got a little bit more work to do. So X is 2. Anywhere I see an X, I plug in a 2. So if I look at letter C, there's an X here, X squared, and then an X. So I plug in X squared, X is 2, 2 squared, and then there was another X, so 2. So this right here, all I did was plug in what X was. Now this step, all I'm doing is following the order of operations. So I have to do exponents first. 2 squared gave me the 4. And then 4 plus 2 minus 1 gave me 5. And I did negative 7 times 5 to get negative 35. So if it says evaluate the following, it tells you what A, B, X, C is. Substitute in that value into your expression and follow the order of operations.